I move that the agenda of this meeting be approved.
Thank you. And if someone who is seconding could speak up, because I have trouble seeing everybody.
I will second that. It's Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia. Any discussion on the agenda? In that case, all in favor
Yes.
Yep, thank you. Are there any opposed? In that case, I'll declare that motion carried. And we have some minutes to adopt.
That the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November 18th, 2020 be adopted.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Any discussion on those minutes? Oh, seconder for those minutes. Ian, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Are there any opposed to the adoption of those minutes? Hearing none, they're adopted. We have no trustee items, no presentations. We're down to the trustee calendar and upcoming events. And I think, Mo, I'll let you say a few words about those if you want to, but I'm just going to start by saying we very much appreciate a very careful examination of that calendar and an early indication if you anticipate any difficulty attending, so that staff can adjust things if necessary to maximize attendance. So with that having been said, Mo, is there anything that you would like to say on that topic?
No, just give me 1 second. Just aside from the fact that, everything that's happening obviously will continue happening on Zoom. And now the Zoom webinar is, when it comes to the board, we'll talk about that later, but that's kind of the new way where the board will be coming in through the Zoom webinar app. So if it feels different, it is because it is a tiny bit different.
Right. Okay. Any questions or comments from trustees on that calendar?
Nope.
Okay, and that takes us to the action list. And it's attached there for your information. And it's not very extensive. Anybody? Nothing.
Oh.
That's because there's nothing on it.
Could be.
Well, it's always a good idea to open it up in case anybody thought something should be on it. And Mo, we're down to information item C, board meeting live streaming processes. Did you have any comments you wanted to make about that?
Yeah, sure, I do. I'm just going to share my screen. And then Rick, we'll probably be doing this together too, just even right now. I just feel, in addition to the open board meeting, we probably need to just do this together right now. So just before I even get to this, just a few things, I think, for reminders for all of us. It's that in the future board meetings, Archie is going to be putting down at least 5 minutes before the prior meeting ends and 5 minutes into the current meeting where we could get all set up. And it's not only because we could get all set up and obviously have YouTube, and she would have to then go and get that link after it's live streamed and put it in the agenda, but it's also because we'd want to wait too for all the trustees to come. And one of the unique features about the webinar, because it's pretty secure, very secure actually. So we would have to promote, like I get an email, or sorry, a notification in Zoom that a trustee of an attendee, and then I have to manually go in and promote each attendee to a participant. And while I'm also like looking at the agenda and kind of making sure everything is good to go for the board meeting. So, the 5 minutes into the current board meeting, for example, waiting 5 minutes in the committee of the whole before we actually get started, there's multiple reasons for that. But I think that's one of the learnings I just picked up today by kind of going through this in real life right now. So clearly we didn't come across this in our test. So it's just some minor tune-ups that we're thinking of right now in the process. But overall, just when it comes to, in addition to that, we've shared a script with everyone. And basically, it's not only the procedures when it comes to best practices around the webinars and certain things that we should be doing. It's also touching on the last page would be actually a script. So it's like for Rick and for me and for Lisa, for the board, it'd be when we're going in, it's very handy for us in the open board meeting to make sure all these things are checked off or whatever, right? So it's just a helpful tool that Maple Ridge School District used, and we just kind of repurposed it from them. So just some quick highlights. We've changed from Zoom meetings to Zoom webinars. Okay, I already mentioned some changes. What does that mean? That means that the public will now come on via YouTube, the link I talked about. So the only time the public would be able to ask a question is in reality it would have to be emailed to a mailbox that we have indicated on our website, and also in that meeting procedures, board@sd48.bc.ca. And what I'll be doing is, if the questions are appropriate and respectful and all that stuff, I'll just be posting all the questions for Rick right on the document. I'll share the document on the screen. All the public and YouTube could view all the questions, and then either Rick or myself would read the question out loud, and basically then we would try getting to all the questions. And obviously this would be for the open board meeting. And in reality, if the question doesn't make sense or if it's disrespectful or anything like that, we would make an attempt to paraphrase it and not show it though on the screen I'm talking about, okay? Just some other quick points for the board is when you're participating, if you have a question, please use the raise hand functions. And I think for Rick, it'll be easier for him to know all the hands that are being raised and to kind of go to basically the appropriate order when it comes to the procedures. And the last thing I want to just quickly touch on is when the board is making a motion, so everyone would just not do that raise hand function, but you would just manually raise your hands on the screen, and you would just keep your hands up. And just touching on that, it's important that not only because we're being live streamed and we should be doing this as a default, but our cameras should be on. But in reality, we got it. If, like, for example, you're eating or something, or something happens, you have to turn off your camera. But the best practice would be, if there isn't that exception, please leave your cameras on. So Rick, I think I described everything in that document. I'm not sure if I missed anything.
Well, yeah, and one of the minor issues for me is with the raised hand function. That's really great, except that when we're sharing the screen as we are now, I can't see everybody. So I have to use the little blue arrow to go back and forth through the gallery and make sure that hands won't come immediately to my attention. Once the shared screening is off, then I can see all the trustees and like now, and that's perfect. So it's only when the shared screen is on that I can't see everybody. I can still use the blue arrow to scroll through and look for hands. Or I'm very willing to just accept someone speaking up and saying, Rick, I have a question or a comment. So if you put your hand up and hi, and it doesn't look like I'm acknowledging you, then just speak up, because I don't want to miss anybody. Celeste, go ahead.
What I was going to say is I noticed that too, when Mo shares his screen, it does change things for me, but you can actually, or I can I'm on a Mac, I can minimize it so that I don't know if you can do the same. I'm just saying that might be a possibility, is there's a little green arrow. And so you can make Mo, like the shared screen, smaller.
Right. Yeah. And I'm on a Mac too. So I think I can probably do that. And I probably can't read the document anymore once I've done that. But, you know, you just have to choose what your priority is. So we'll manage it fine. As long as people are just a little bit forgiving about being slow or making minor mistakes. But I know you will be. And that takes me back to, yeah. So Mo, that's my only comment on the on that agenda item, on the live streaming processes.
Okay, so should we just quickly have a test with everyone? And just, so what we'll do is, number one, we'll put right in there in the meeting procedures that if we're having, if we're sharing our screen, the participant, whoever is doing that, including myself, would put it down as soon as the presentation is done. So it's not taking away kind of FaceTime with everyone as just a default. And then I think the second thing, what we could do in the instructions, and then also we could test today, is if everyone could raise their hands, that'd be great, just to see if we know how to.
Do you mean the hand raise symbol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe one of the trustees could walk by the education of that. And well, let's see, it's Cynthia, Celeste, Rick, Ian. Okay, so Dave, I see that you're having issues. So what's your preference? Do you want to?
You're on mute, Dave.
I don't see a raised hand symbol here.
Dave, if you go to at the bottom of your screen, you should have an item called participants. And do you see that?
No.
Okay.
See Rick
Try under
Price.
more.
See Rick Price on your name on one side, or Cynthia's name now, and they've got a picture of me on the other side here.
Okay.
Dave,
I'm not going to try and walk you through it.
are you on an iPad?
Sorry?
Are you using your iPad?
I'm using the iPad.
Okay, try up on the right-hand top corner. There's 3 buttons and it says more.
Yeah.
Press that. And do you get a drop-down menu that says webinar settings, minimize webinar,
Yeah.
virtual background,
Yeah.
raise hand, tap
Yeah.
raise hand.
Oh, there's raised hand there.
It's a little bit hidden on the
But
iPad.
you've got to go through that process before you
It
get
took
the
me a
raised
while.
hand.
Yeah, it took me a while to find it. And so when you tap raise hand, then it should turn red and say lower hand.
Yeah.
This is starting to get a little complicated.
I know.
Hey, Dave, we can accept if you just speak up too.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't want you to get hung up on a niggly detail on that operating system. It's more important that you just be able to listen and participate.
Yeah.
It's just as a default, like as a practice, we're doing that. So absolutely, Rick. So we'll put that right in the procedures that if possible, and then basically that means that if there's other circumstances or whatever, screens being shared or you're on a different operating system, then you don't have to do that. This just helps with maintaining the order and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which in reality, it's just a good practice. And then just the last thing I want to touch on, I want to just get the board's opinion in this. And I think when I was talking to staff, we were kind of, all of us we didn't really have too much of an opinion with this. So I'm just going to leave this in the board's hands. When it comes to the YouTube, the live streaming of this, is there a preference of, do we take that live stream down as soon as the meeting is done? And obviously it'll be archived and then there'll be minutes kind of proceeding and just we would go back to our traditional means, or do we leave the live stream copy, or sorry, the streaming copy of that meeting on YouTube and not take it down and archive it?
I don't, at the moment, I'm not really forming a strong opinion. I mean, if people were attending in person, they would not have a copy of it to refer to afterwards. That's one way of looking at it. On the other hand, what's wrong if we're displaying it on YouTube? What's wrong with people being able to tune in later if they can't come at 6 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon? So I'm a little bit conflicted, but I'd love to hear if anybody sees some strong pros and cons either way.
I think I did put my hand up virtually.
Oh, nice. And I just took your spot.
Oh, no, I was no, it was after you. But I think that if I can jump in, I think part of the beauty of having the option to live stream it and put it on technology is that people have the option to be able to join later if their schedules don't allow them to come in, like you say, at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. I'm wondering, is there a mechanism within the YouTube platform or maybe the Zoom webinar platform where you can leave it on YouTube for a specified amount of time and then have it automatically archived so that it's not up there forever and ever, but that it does give people, say, a week or 2 days or whatever we determine to be an appropriate amount of time, and then it just goes into the archives.
Yeah, we looked into that. There should be a mechanism for that. And obviously Jen, our communications officer, is going to be kind of working directly with Archie on this. So whatever feedback the board provides when it comes to including that, having a time limit and, where is it going to be posted and all that stuff, she'll work with Archie on that. But I think the bigger question was, number one, do we keep a copy on? And I think what I'm hearing so far is yes. And then number two, part of that is, okay, well, is there like a time restriction that we should have on how long that's there for?
Yeah, so sorry, are there any raised hands? I don't see any at the moment, but I'd be fine with recording it and say, just as a suggestion, leave it up for 48 hours and then bring it down. But Celeste, I saw your hand.
Thanks. So I think it is important that we post it. I think that for public engagement and transparency and making things as accessible as possible. And I think that even 2 weeks is way too short. I think that we should, if there's no reason not to leave it up for even a year, why take it down? The only thing that I would say that I think is very important is that the commenting be turned off on YouTube, on the YouTube platform, because that can turn into a space that where unhealthy behaviors can be brought about, if you want to put it that way. But I
Good nice way to put it.
Yeah, I think like 48 hours or 2 weeks, like why limit it? We are here for the public. We should be making these meetings as accessible as possible for as long as possible. So yeah, that's my.
Thank you.
We have the commenting turned off. And I think the only thing with that Jen was kind of working on with Archie and myself on is that just like how the board's agendas and all that stuff, that someone could just take a link and post it on Instagram or take a picture and post it on Instagram or whatever and now comment. There's still a mechanism for that link to the YouTube to put on Instagram, just like that picture agenda and all that stuff, then people would still break that by commenting. So we did talk about that. But they wouldn't be able to directly comment. Even right now, it's turned off. But they could do a thumbs up. That's the thumbs up. Now there wasn't any mechanism around that.
Yeah, it almost seems like in the virtual world that we live in that's impossible to avoid. I mean, that first layer, which is our actual YouTube channel, we can limit as Celeste put it so delicately, the poor behavior. But if people choose to take the link, post it on a different platform, and then invite comments, I'm not even sure whether we should be trying to limit that, because it's probably futile. But at least we don't have to look at it. Any other remarks on this particular topic, which is the live streaming process?
I'm just wondering, just as a thought towards process or governance, do we have to make a motion to make it an official thing that we're opening up this this YouTube platform? Because
it's coming in
before, because it's something new.
It's coming in tonight's public meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I probably read that and don't remember.
Yep.
Well, it certainly never happened to me.
What? Never?
Take that for what it's worth.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else on the live streaming process?
No.
All right, let's move down to the post BCSTA Fall Trustee Academy debrief. There's nobody's name is beside this one. I'll just make an opening comment, which is I enjoyed it far more than I thought I would. In fact, I actually thought it was one of the better academies I've ever attended. Like everybody else, I really regretted the not seeing people in person and having coffees and sharing glasses of wine and having hugs, and all of that was a huge deficit. But the content, I thought, and the process, for me personally, it worked amazingly well. And I blush to admit that I'm surprised, because that means that I was skeptical, which I was. But anyway, it worked great for me. How about the rest of you? Go ahead, Ian.
Sure. I like Rick, had high expectations for this thing to not really get pulled off very well. But I was quite impressed. There were over 600 delegates at the Academy, and everything ran smoothly. I mean, they had a few little glitches, but they were the only part that I found a little weird was that there are people out there, but you never see them. Like the biggest group I think we saw was 2 or 3 people. The rest of the time, we're just by ourselves, and it was neat. I like the way that they've hooked up with the branches. So we had a presenter present, and then once he's finished, they had some questions that went to the South Coast branch, and then back to our individual branches. So you can really move it around. So people aren't just sitting in their seats for so many hours in a day. So I too really enjoyed it. Where else? Favorites for me, it was good to listen to Michael Fullan. Michael Fullan has been around for 30, 40 years. Interesting man. He's out of Ontario. And it was nice to have him there presenting. He did a really good job of speaking. How our learning model is outdated. Time is ripe for change in these COVID times. And Michael focused on qualities of strong board superintendent relationships. He presented his thoughts on 10 tips for superintendents and 10 tips for boards, which I think would be a nice, good chance for us to look at sometime in the near future if we can, in a little more detail. Another highlight for me was the student presentations, showcases. They were just excellent. Really enjoyed them. So we heard via Gold Trail, via the video. The other part of the Academy that I believe, I've said that about the South Coast branch, was taking time to meet with them during it. So all in all, it was a good couple of days.
Anyone else?
I'm happy to go if nobody else wants to go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
I too thought it was fantastic, but unlike Rick, I had full faith that it was going to be amazing.
Good for you.
No, I was really worried actually that I was going to be a bit bored and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to sit in this room by myself in front of the TV, the computer screen. And I was really pleasantly surprised. I thought the content of the whole conference was phenomenal. And I agree with what you say, Rick. I do think it was one of the best academies that I've attended, far fewer than you, of course. I really enjoyed the fact that I suppose it was the people who were organizing it asked the presenters to speak both from an educational, pedagogical, is that a real word? Point of view, and also a governance point of view. And I really liked how they balanced that, gave us lots of really great information. As far as Michael Fullan, I think I heard, or there was a message that came through that we might have copies of his books, or we're getting copies of his books. That would be terrific.
He's probably written dozens of books, but the ones that are most relevant to his recent remarks and his recent research and governance would be excellent to get hold of.
Yeah, The Devil's in the Details, and I don't think I copied down the name of the other, but maybe it's in my notes somewhere else. Pardon me. I thought that was just terrific. And I noticed on the Hub, they had some of the presentations up, but tragically, I don't think his is one of those, which is unfortunate because I would have liked to have looked over it again. Just quickly, the talk with Dr. Gustafson was great. I loved what she had to say, really reassuring. the thing that resonated with me the most was how she said how our school safety plans are working. And when people say, well, why are they shutting down a shopping mall or a restaurant or a bowling alley or whatever it is, you can say, well, their safety plan wasn't working. It's not that it was a place that was like a school and had the same robust safety plans. I thought just phenomenal. Mr. Carvey, I loved how he gave that history of people from Africa arriving in Nova Scotia and how he talked that all the way through. My favorite, strongest statement that really resonated with me, that made me think, was how he said, we have to be careful of the racism of low expectations, which got me thinking about our equity scan. And then when we were in the breakout room after, I said, do we need to maybe use this equity scan as an opportunity for us to look beyond the First Nations lens and maybe start looking at equity for our English as additional language learners, to our other communities that maybe aren't as populous in our schools, different socioeconomic strands. So it just made me really think about how we could really utilize that equity scan, if it's possible, because I don't know what the format exactly is, but could we use that equity scan to really get a robust look at our entire community? So that made me think about that. Jesse Hirsch, loved him. I thought he was so whimsical and fun. His comments about governance, what did I write? Encourage trustees to be the bridge between parents and schools, communicate to parents how schools have transformed, be more engaged with the school and the community. Those were some things that must have stood out because I wrote them down. And the digital divide. He talked about the digital divide and how we have to be really cognizant that we are not creating two tiers, the people who have access to technology, the people who don't, which I think our district is doing a pretty good job of. That's about enough. And then all the stuff on mental health, the two pieces at the end on mental health, I thought it was really robust conversations, lots of really good information coming out of those. And I'll cut it at that because I think I've spoken long enough and taken up enough time. But overall, really good. Student presentations, good. Stephanie Higginson did an amazing job. Nice to hear the minister come in at such short notice, being so brand new to the job. Really, I thought they're phenomenal. The tech crew who got it all together, like, kudos to them. Really, it was really well done.
Mo.
Turning it over to Lisa, I was raising my hand for her.
Okay.
Or you had something, you were able to say something.
Archie and I wanted to share.
Yes, I've ordered the books and 8 of them, they are here, but they're coming in little packages. I think I have one of the books and I've got 8 copies of them, and I'll distribute them as soon as I have all of them.
Did you hear that?
We did.
No.
At least I did. Ian did not.
No.
So basically, I've got 8 copies of one of the books. I've ordered 2 different books as per Lisa's request. And when all copies are here with me, I'll distribute those to trustees and senior staff.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you.
And further, I believe that Michael Fullen's slideshow is now posted on their website. We used it.
Oh, good. That's great. Was that through the hub, Lisa?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
I think that would be on the BCSTA hub, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I looked last night and I couldn't get access to it, but maybe I opened up an old website that I maybe had opened, like an old page that was opened up before. I'll take another look. That's great if it's open again, because I would love to just listen to it one more time.
And if you don't find it, let us know, because we recently did grab it.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, I have the video recording of his whole presentation.
Nice. Is there a way, can you email that to me, or is that like crazy?
I absolutely can. I can do it right
Oh,
now.
if you wouldn't mind, Paul, that would be really terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think Archie, you're working on something too, aren't you?
The synopsis that I sent to you.
Yeah.
But the only thing is that we can't share it to anyone beyond our group. That's something that they've posted on their hub, saying that they haven't obtained permission to share it like publicly.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
So we'll be sending it to the trustees, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else on the academy?
I'll just say, Rick, I didn't attend because I was scheduled to work both days and I had extremely low expectations about the virtual format, but now I feel sorry for feeling that way. I couldn't have attended anyway, but I will. I'll definitely, I mean, any books, I'm always happy to consume that kind of material, and I'll log into the hub and watch the videos, or if they can be emailed, that's even better. I can just download it onto my laptop and watch it while I'm waiting for the kids to finish their.
I think there was some discussion at the time of the Academy when, I can't remember the details now, but when we had a chance to chat, that some people, and I'd include myself in this group, thought that Fullen's material was so valuable that it might be worthwhile the board taking some time to go through it, either as a sort of ed session. There'd be lots of stuff that would reaffirm our own beliefs, which is kind of always nice, but also opening up some new territory for us. The other thing I thought I heard was the notion that it's possible we could use some of his material to build or expand our board self-evaluation process from. And so that'd probably be a topic for when we want to discuss the self-evaluation process. But Fullen had an awful lot of really good stuff to say about governance, or at least I thought it was good. That's a value judgment. But I probably thought it was good because it aligned with my own biases. But anyway.
I'm going to let everybody know, I'm just remembering I did try to email this to some principals and I wasn't able to because the file size of the video was too large. I'll have to try and figure out another way to get it to you. I can probably get it to you just through a Google Doc. So I'll set that up and give you the link and you can just grab it from the Google site.
All right. Thanks. Anybody else on the Academy? Okay. Now I need to get, if someone has the agenda open, oh, maybe I do. I do. I didn't close it after all. So that was the Fall Academy, which was actually the end of the agenda. So if there are no objections, I'm going to declare this one adjourned. And the there's a break at 2:15, and actually we don't start in camera until 2:30. Now, given that everyone who has to be at in camera is probably already here. Okay, Mo, I see your hand up.
Yeah, we have to prepare for some things, so we need to start in camera when we originally scheduled it. So it's
fine, no problem. That gives everybody about 50 minutes of a break before the in-camera meeting starts. See you guys later.
Thank you.
See you.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, everybody.
I think it's going pretty well. Stuff like that. I think it's like considering the fact that this is